Welcome to Money Convos, where we discuss personal finance and investment tips. We are committed to helping people create wealth and achieve financial freedom. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. Alright then, let's head into today's conversation.
Hi Adam, I have sent you the request, so accept and come join me up here. Hi Adam, how you doing?
Hello, Elikem. I'm doing good. Yourself?
I'm great. I think it's been a minute since we spoke.
I was just going to say the same thing. It's been a while.
Yeah. But you're good? Everything okay?
Oh yeah. I've just been a little bit busy up and down, but we're fine.
Okay, all right. Now, so I'm looking at the our audience, and Ellie, nice to see you. And I was thinking, wait, I'm Ellie Kim. You are Adam. And there's an Ellie in the audience. It's like, is it that where people came very early? Or I just checked Ellie and I realized that, oh no, he's Ellie Kwanzaa. So maybe not exactly aware, or maybe Ellie can just drop a reaction. If you are aware, thumbs up. If you are not aware, thumbs down. We can reach out to you later to clarify. If people showed up to class late, Ellie and the others didn't. Maybe
he's Ellie Elisha.
Okay. Hebrew Ellie. Okay, that's fine. Okay, Anyway, Charlie, I'm doing good, man. I had a bit of a break. Definitely, Paulina, this time I'm definitely bringing you up.
Please bring her up. He's always high.
Yeah, you have to. Today you have to make an exception. I saw Paulina retweeting as usual, and I was like, yeah. And she can't run away from us.
She can't run away.
Yeah. So this week we're going to have a conversation, and it's really about us talking about what's going on in Ghana, how it's affecting people. I'm sure when we check on social media, a lot of people talk about things the radio stations bring up. Like they call people, they let people call in and we speak, so it can be a bit therapeutic. It can be a bit of venting, but, we just want people to feel heard. We want people to share their experiences. There are certain lessons that we could learn from it. Even if it does nothing, at least it's therapeutic. But I believe that there are also certain lessons to be learned. For example, there's also the appreciation of, actually, mine may not be that bad. Because you hear about how other people are doing, and maybe you get some gratitude in whatever situation you have. You may also get tips on how other people are coping, because someone is saying, this is hitting me hard this way, but this is how I'm coping, this is what I'm doing to try to mitigate the situation. So hopefully we'll have a lot of benefits. In the light of the type of conversation we are trying to have today, is really us listening to you, our audience. So I strongly encourage everyone, just request for the mic, join us upstage. Let's have a conversation. Let's know how it's affecting you. Or if it's not even you yourself, maybe you've heard about people close to you, or even certain stories of this is how somebody is affected. It would really help, especially in these days when we are taking Money Convos to the world, right? With the podcast, the YouTube, and hopefully advertise to not just Ghanaians, but people in Africa and the diaspora, and in fact, anywhere else. Because, this message about financial literacy, it's good for everybody anywhere. So let people try and come and understand what's going on in Ghana, and they can appreciate our situation better. Yeah. But how about you? What do you think is a benefit of us having such a discussion, trying to find out what people are going through?
Oh, I think it's all these discussions are always very important, because the essence of financial literacy, we cannot belabor the point. We've said it so many times, and I think what is going on is actually bringing to mind, or bringing us to a point where we question some of the assumptions we have always run with. Okay, like now, in my mind, if somebody says risk free, I will look at you with some eyes. You yourself, you don't know what you are going to. My look at you will be something, because now that whole assumption of a government security being, I know sometimes we're saying near risk free, but to appreciate that kind of risk has never been real like now. So these discussions, when we have them, we are now realizing that, look, we have to sort of sometimes challenge the things we have believed, and also probably prepare for some situations better than we have in previous times. And as we also go through it and we discuss, like you mentioned, probably people also have tips of uh, with how they are coping or how they are managing the situations. And as we share these discussions and these ideas, we help to rub off each other, and we are able to encourage others to also go in similar lights. And in fact, generally speaking, these discussions also help to diffuse some tension in the system. So it's only right if people also like vent, rather than take other unorthodox means of seeking their grievances. But when people talk and when people communicate, it brings out good things. And if you look at, for example, the Individual Bondholders Forum and the serious advocacy they did, I believe it has forced government to come up with something that is much more acceptable to a lot more people than previously was. So these discussions do help, and you can never tell where these ideas can go and land. So I think it's important. Yeah.
I like especially the last part of where you said how people's stories coming to the fore, people understanding that Charlie, it's not just some numbers sitting in an account. It's actually people's lives being changed, and everyone coming to understand and feeling a shared sense of the suffering brought more advocacy. Yes, they keep pushing the deadline. I'm like, on one hand, I'm like, ugh, they've pushed the deadline again. Like, when will this thing end? But then on the other hand, they push it and the conditions seem better and better. I must admit, when it started, I was like, my personal take was, all right, fine. You know what, let's just take the deal. And people were advocating. I'm like, can these people just calm down a bit? Like, and let's just do this. Let's all think about this country and let's just move on. But those people actually pushing the agenda, people bringing their experiences to the fore, motivated some of these groups, stakeholder groups, to be moved. In fact, it's very possible that someone may be immune to it. Somebody who has a good enough job. I have a friend who has a very cushy job, and he said, "Oh, yeah, the allowances also adjusted towards those things, so it helped him. He also got a promotion." Someone like him, he of course he's a very mature person. He knows people, but if he didn't know people, if he wasn't in touch with people, he would be living in his own glass castle, right? And getting a sense of how other people feel would make someone like him, who is in a certain position to try to change things, it will push him to try to actually advocate. Because, like, hey, my auntie is suffering. My auntie has to go through this. I'm going to have to give her money. Hey, Charlie, government, come, let's figure this thing out. you get the idea. So yeah, these conversations are good. It's good to know what's going on with other people, to feel their pain as they are doing it, and it can help adjust our behavior. A major thing that I hope all these discussions, as all these stories come out, they help is, when all is said and done, it will help us all to assess our personal decisions. Like you're saying, somebody says risk free, you look at the person sideways. And I like to think about the Ghanaian situation beyond just money and investments. We start thinking as, okay, how can we live a better life? How can we make decisions when it's time to vote? How can we make decisions even outside of the 4-year voting cycle to improve our democracy, to improve leadership, so that we don't have to suffer that way again? I didn't suffer, but somebody else suffered. Next time, will it be my turn? Those are some of the things I hope these kind of conversations can help influence, and not just and just leaving it at venting. That's also good, but hopefully they leave a mark. Hi, Mimi. Welcome to the conversation. How are you doing?
I'm well. How's everyone doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How's the gym going? Are you enjoying your time in the gym?
Today I'm not at the gym. I'm in my
Oh,
house.
I know Wednesdays you don't go, but there are certain days that you go. But how is the pattern going? I know it was one of your goals for the year, no? Mm.
But you, I
Hey,
was going to
what's
say
going on
something,
here?
but I've stopped. Edem will judge me.
Edem, you are not allowing people to feel free. Please, this is a safe zone. This is a safe zone. No judgment here. Please feel free to pour your heart out.
It's cool. It's cool.
Okay, we thank God for coolness. Anyway, so I guess we could start having the conversation. If you just joined today, we want to hear from our audience. You over the weeks, over the months, you keep hearing from us. We also want to hear from you. How is it going with you? What's how is it affecting you in any way? So just request the mic and we bring you up. You could share your own story or you could share someone else, a story that you've heard, something to really make us feel like the impact of what's going on. All right, so without much ado, let's get into it. Ed Mimi, Paulina, please do come up and join us and let's have this conversation. Does anyone have any story or any experience that they can share, Mimi?
About how the debt restructuring, I think it has affected every individual. Is that the question I should be answering so that I don't deviate? Hello?
Yes, that's the question. How has it affected people? Yeah.
Okay, I think it has affected everyone in one way or the other. I mean, if government didn't have any issue with this whole debt thing, they probably wouldn't have been back to market, at least not now. Um, the pensions pays, and I mean the whole industry, the whole financial industry probably wouldn't have been as affected. And most people have financial products, and so I am sure that everyone has been affected in one way or the other. How have I been affected? I'll say that I've made some losses on certain funds. Um, Not too serious, not something that I can move on from. Thankfully, I'm still young, and so there's still hope. But there are other people who have just retired and have a lump sum of money that in their minds they were hoping that this would last me throughout my retirement, and they put it in a fund, whether it's mark to market or is one thing or the other. Some of them have made significant losses. And I think for especially in December, when we were having our own share of the whole drama, one thing somebody told me is that he's unable to sleep. He can't sleep because he's a breadwinner, and he doesn't know what is coming. So I think just that fear, especially if you're a retiree. I mean, for those of us who are still working, the hope is that we still have jobs. If you have a job or you have a source of income, you know that give yourself some time, you'll be able to, bring accumulate that money again. But for people who have retired and didn't know that this was coming, to plan adequately towards it, I think it's been quite difficult. Having to come to terms with the fact that money you saved over the years, some people have seen 30% of that, go down, and you don't know how bad it will get. So, yeah, that's how I've seen people affected.
Wow. And it reminds me of this point about someone not being able to sleep. Reminds me of our conversation we had on money problems and mental health. It's on our podcast. It's on our YouTube. If you've not checked it out, if you did not join us have those discussions, you can just go through our Twitter timeline, or you can go check out those episodes just to listen to it. Just search for Money Convos anywhere you listen to podcasts or on YouTube, and you'll find that. Okay, I think it's episode number 15. We posted it on 15th January, so just go listen to it. That would help a lot. Wow, this is interesting. Yeah. Before I come back to maybe I'll circle back to you, perhaps some of the experiences you've had as someone advising in the pension space, the kind of stories that you've heard. I see Seram has joined us, so Seram will also be looking out for your perspective, how it's affected you personally and how you see it's affected other people too. Adam, how about you? Do you have any stories?
Oh, the story is there for days.
For days. And I wondered if I should even let you go, and because the water will finish. They said when parents.
Oh, let me
give it to us in bits.
One
story at a time.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, for me personally, I think that would be best, because I can explain what is happening to me best than what is happening to somebody else. So personally, generally, I was heavy on mutual funds. Had a number of investments, because when I looked at my risk profile, that's why you see I mentioned the issue about risk-free and those things earlier on. The way I saw things, I found a lot of the fixed income funds like a place where I could deal with the kind of volatility they had. Still have quite some amount of money also in equity mutual funds. Okay, so those have been flip-flopping over the years, and I'm used to that. That one, I know that is what it's about. But to see mark-to-market causing 30% cut in my investment, that was not what I signed up for, honestly. That's not what I had in mind when I was going in that direction. So it was a bit upsetting and a bit some way. But we were even discussing in the beginning stages, stay invested, don't pull out. If we are all pulling out of these investments or disinvesting, we are going to be causing a run on the investment houses. Then, how they call it, debt exchange hit. When we barely recovered from mark to market, the next slap on us was debt exchange. And for debt exchange, how it affected me basically was I had planned to withdraw some funds to use for specific things, okay? And then just because of the issues with mark to market, and now coupled with debt exchange, that basically bonds are not even trading again. Government bonds are basically not really trading because of people aren't sure what was going, especially in the early stages. So you have a lot of the fund managers, when you put in a request, they can't even assure you when you get your money. So I was just saying that, some of these monies that I thought I could rely on, I would just have to change my plans and then reroute my plans through another channel. Okay. And then also I used to regularly top up, but the whole thing just made me some style. So I said, look, instead of pushing monies into these mutual funds and not knowing exactly what is going to happen, what is there, you stay there. But no new money is coming for now. Let me use these monies to do other things that I would have wanted to use those investments for. Now I'm channeling new savings to try and pile them up to do these things that I wanted to do earlier. Okay, so it has delayed plans, because originally things that you would have thought that maybe by December, okay, I'm getting X amount of money, I'm going to do this with it. But here's the case, I don't know when I'm getting that money. So I'm now trying to save up to do some of these projects, and it has changed plans, delayed things, and it's not that easy. But the good thing is that some of us have in mind already that investments, you can win, you can lose. So it's not something that I'm going to lose sleep over, honestly, because I know it's very difficult for some people because of the huge sums of monies they have. It's not something that they can close their eyes to. But I mean, what's the point in me deciding to lose sleep and then affecting my health? Because earlier on, I think when we were talking about Thanksgiving at the beginning of the year, or is it late last year, I spoke about health issues that I had. So I don't want anything to come and stress me out again. So I just close my mind to all those things and rather refocus and redirect. So for me, it's personally hit me directly, but we've just had to re-strategize to be able to cope and move forward with our plans. Yeah. So Elikem, that's how I've been affected.
Oh, you said that you had to delay some of your plans, and it's interesting that towards the end you said we've had to delay our plans. It's one of the plans. Is it so? Right now you've had to go and delay wedding plans or what?
Please hold on.
Oh no, it's a very serious matter. Okay, it is a very serious matter. All right, people wanted to marry, but they are having to delay their marriages, their weddings. So it's something that we need to address. It's just recently, Michael was saying that we have to appoint a minister of broken heart and some things. So maybe it's these kind of matters need to be addressed. Yeah.
Elikem, the marriage party, I don't agree with you.
Oh.
But has AMA closed? Because I near,
please. You only for most people, most people plan to get married only once, so they want to do it well once and for all. So please allow them.
Okay, sorry.
Some people can sacrifice certain and wait and keep waiting. Those people are waiting. I understand. Don't tell Prince I mentioned his name. Okay. I didn't even mention Prince's name. But anyway. Paulina, welcome up stage. Glad to know that you could make the time to join us. Our busy PhD candidate. Please, what's been your take? What's been your experience or any experiences that have run close to home?
Charlie, this whole thing, Oh, good evening, everyone.
You see, that's how I know that the thing has affected you. When you greet with Charlie and you forget that you put the manners aside, the matter chop hot.
No, you see, personally, because I'm a public sector worker, I have always worried about my pension. Not just the tier 2, or is it tier 3 it is called, but the SNIT. And I've been worried about it because I check my statement from time to time. And one of the things I realized was that government was not paying. So you could check your statement for, say, this year, for this year, and then find out that government had paid probably up to January last year. Now, to think that all of these things will be affected by this debt exchange, it gives me cause for worry, because then, Charlie, the pension, we are not there yet. We have years and years to go, but still, we are in trouble. Not because we were not conscientious in doing what we need to do, but we're a good boy. But because somebody failed to do what they were supposed to do. And let me say that I have meant to write this. I meant to share this on the platform that Courage did a really good job of explaining the whole debt exchange thing. And it hits me as to the impact it will have, not just on individuals, but the whole country. And those are conversations that we really need to have. I be here the choristers at the back, so you let me end here. I'll probably come back.
Yes, he has Jiga. He's very aggressive. Today we said we want to hear people's opinions on what's going on there with the debt exchange. Allow people to express themselves. So he's also expressing himself in the background. Yeah, it's the implications are vast. The implications would affect everybody. And yes, the conversation Paulina is referring to is the discussion we had. We've had recent discussions with Courage. There was one about cocoa bills. If you just go on our YouTube and our podcast, you find them. There was another conversation even before that about the debt exchange program, trying to find to exchange or not to exchange. That's episode 16. You could go check that out. Pension funds. People are we did everything we were supposed to do. There were supposed to be contributions. Even the contributions, they are not making the contributions. Then how much more the returns that we are supposed to be getting on our money? People are thinking about the future. People are just wondering what could happen. Okay, I see. Anyway, to our audience, if you just joined, we are having a conversation on how the debt exchange program is affecting us. Feel free to request the mic, join in on the conversation. Normally, I'll say send a message if you want to, but we would really like to hear from you, hear the passion behind what's going on with you. It's a better way of us sounding you out than just reading a message. So please do feel free to join in on the conversation. Just request the microphone. It's interesting for me how it's affected me. One of the ways it's affected me is my father retired in 2021. And he was a government worker. The government workers, when they retire, it takes a long time before they are paid their retirement bonuses. In fact, not just government workers, anyone. SNITs will take a minute. And then his is even security services. So it takes a minute for controller to do their thing. Then my mother retired in 2022. Also same situation. And the thing is, the monies that they had been putting aside to tide them, because yes, they know that the way the situation goes. So you put money aside for them to survive the next 6 or so months before you are paid. Charlie, I understand. Gone on retirement, money is not coming in. Charlie, it's at least I've been fortunate. My parents haven't been hit as hard as some of the stories that we've heard. Like, okay, take away the value, but at least give me some money to go home and go and do some 1 or 2 things. We've been fortunate. It's not hit us so bad. I still can get, Charlie, when I run out, at least I can ask for, send me some $100, some small coins for the boys, you understand? But can you imagine, can't even make certain demands, and I'm sure other people also can't. And I'm curious, Dennis, Dennis, I see you in the audience, please come up. I'm curious to hear how it's affecting students also, because I can imagine some parents are telling their children, Charlie, we can't give you pocket money or as much pocket money. People are gonna start living hand to mouth, how they survive, and Charlie, I can just imagine with all these court cases about sugar daddies and all that, I'm just wondering, if people, how drastic measures are getting, if the government defaults, you can sue the government. If your sugar daddy also defaults, you can sue him, so all these things are going on. That's one of the ways I'm being affected. Let's see, Adam, you mentioned that you have stories for days. Can you give us day 2?
Okay, day 2. Okay, this one happened. It happened. I shouldn't be laughing, but it sounded a bit funny a little bit for me. But this tells you how serious some of the situations are. It happened with I think one day after church. I don't know what happened, but I chanced on. I just happened to talk with this lady at church. And in fact, she actually didn't even know what is going on. Like, I think she just mentioned something that her daughter is about to go to the university or something. She has some money. She said, she's heard that data bank, something. So she's going there the next day. And if she doesn't get her money, she's going to display over there. And it was some way, and it was then I had to start breaking it down to her little by little, and you could just see the shock in her face, and she was like, you could just see, like she said, all her money that she had, and you see, she just knew that she had to put money aside somewhere, and it's like all her money that she had somewhere somehow was just locked up in this. And a lot of the fund managers have been having problems in terms of paying out because of all these issues, first with mark to market and then now the debt exchange program. So this was someone who was planning for her daughter's school fees and in fact had been working diligently towards it. But some way, somehow didn't have any information as to what was going on. All she knows is that my money is at data bank. When I go there on Monday, I'm going to collect my money. And only for me to be the bearer of bad news, to break it down to her in terms of what is actually going on with the debt exchange program, even starting from mark to market, what it meant and everything. And you could just see the shock and the distraught on her face, and she didn't know what to do. Fortunately, Mrs. Ahiati was around, so I shifted over the problem to her to be able to deal with much more financial advice. It was just some way. So people are actually being hit directly, and unfortunately, there are a lot of people who actually even have no clue what is going on. And some of them wake up in the morning and like, oh, I'm going to EDC or I'm going to somewhere for my money. And then they are faced with this. And then that is when they come to say that, oh, this fund management company has taken my money. They don't want to give it back to me. Yeah. So this is an example that happened to someone that was close to me. Thanks.
Charlie, the shock alone. The shock alone can do things to people, right? And imagine, I know DataBank closed their offices to work remotely sometime in December because of some of these concerns. Like there was risk, people were getting violent with their staff, so all these things are happening. And this is even one of the high profile ones that we hear about on a smaller end, people getting angry, and maybe you can't settle a bill that is due because your money is locked up in an investment. So somebody else that you're supposed to pay will come and be aggressive with you and put a lot of things at risk. And these things, they cascade. Oof, man, it's when you start thinking about the ripple effects, how far the situation can get, is just shaking my head, man. Shaking my head. Let's see. Mimi, I'm curious, how about people who have recently gone on pension, who've recently gone on retirement, or people just about to retire? What are some of the experiences you've seen that they're having in terms of how it's affecting them?
Like I said, if you're unfortunate to put your money in right before things started going down, it means that you didn't make any returns at all, and rather have made, quite hefty losses. Some of them have not taken it quite well. Others will just cut their losses and move on. And then for those who have retired, not even those who have retired, for some, this is their 10th anniversary. So their Provident Fund, maybe their 10th anniversary. And because they are not sure about the future, they've taken the money and they don't really have anything to do with the money. Like there's no where to put their money. So that has become the challenge. Do we do T-bills? So the last time T-bills was oversubscribed by 60%. And I think that's a result of people who have lump sums, whether it be retirees or other people who don't really know what to do with their money. They may not necessarily trust T-bills, but it's like that's the only option. And since the minister said that won't be touched, even though they've said so many things and not stayed by it, they would rather you put their money there, or they would end up leaving it in their bank account, for me, which may not be a good idea, because needs come. By the time you realize, if you are not very careful, the lump sum will be done in no time. So I think that's what's happening. Those who put their money in before everything started going downhill, making very huge losses. And then those who are just about retiring, not knowing exactly what to do. And that means that some of them will lock their monies up in illiquid investments like real estate. When at retirement they need liquidity, or they would end up putting their money in a bank account and not being able to manage, the monies well to last them through their retirement, or those who don't mind put it in T-bills or fixed deposit. So that's what is happening on that side.
Okay,
Let me
that's
also
interesting. Okay.
So today I had a text, my SNIT statement, and so I was looking at it, and my husband just asked me a question about what my benefits would look like. And so I decided to do the best case scenario and the worst case scenario based on what my the average of my best 3 years salary is. And I must say it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. And, my worry is that what we were expecting to provide a buffer for us, which is the tier 2 and tier 3, look like it hasn't been concluded on, but look like they have been affected by this whole thing. So, I mean, if you are planning to retire well, you really would need to get aggressive with your retirement game. Otherwise, the other side doesn't look good.
That's interesting. Just on this issue of SNIT, I also saw an email from SNIT. I was like, hey people, it's been a minute since you sent me a statement. You are now remembering to send it. But I'm curious, when you said look, doing the calculation for SNIT, it's not looking good. I just want to get a context. I think we've known that SNIT is not good enough. And I'm sure people are wondering what are we talking about. Just go through our previous conversations, and you will find some conversations about retirement. So we know that SNIT is not good enough. That's why we had to do tier 2 and tier 3. But from what you are saying, is it that the SNIT is worse than you were expecting? Because I think it's just based on calculation. It is what it is. It's just not nice. Is that the situation, or has it gotten worse in some way?
I don't. Okay, so I mean, the calculator has always been what it is, right? But when I was doing my own analysis, at least it included my tier 2 and tier 3, so it didn't look as bad. And the analysis, the variables I used were normal variables at the time. Of course, things have changed since then. Inflation is high. We hope that stabilizes, and then interest rates have also come down, which has a lot of meaning for those of us investing for long-term goals like retirement. When I did the analysis, I think the worst case scenario was about 20% of my take home, like what my income, what I spent. And the best case scenario was about 30%, 40% of what I take home. So that is a huge drop, of which the tier 2 and tier 3, if managed well, should be able to bridge. But given how things have gone, I don't know how the debt restructuring will come out. I don't know how it would affect pension funds yet. But it just hit me that I just need to be a bit more aggressive and tactical with my long-term planning, because if I was supposed to just fall on what I saw, then it didn't look good. It didn't look good. That would be like very basic living. Very, very basic living. It didn't look good. So that's what I drew from that analysis I did.
Okay, I am as you've explained further, I'm able to put it in better context, and I'm like, if our tier 2 and tier 3 other sources of retirement benefits are going to be jeopardized, that falling on SNIT as a loan thing, it's the worst case scenario is looking bad. Even the normal case scenario is looking bad. And I don't think you said this word explicitly, but I'm just thinking about that 51 point something percent inflation. You add that to this matter, and whatever benefits you were earning at that level, it's only is going to lose that real value, because you can buy, you only be able to buy half of the things that you normally would be able to buy. And these kind of things, these kind of concerns just gets people thinking, gets people desperate, and desperation is not good. Wow. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I'm hoping that we could get some more experiences of people talking about how they've not been able to pay certain debts, they've not been able to pay certain bills. Adam has come to vaguely talk about how he's postponed his wedding, and I'm pretty sure right now whoever is giving him pressure or whoever is talking to, maybe the aunties and the uncles, Adam can't say it's hard though. If you like, go and listen to Money Convos episode number 19 or 20. I said it. Oh my, it's affected me. He's just putting on record all the problems to excuse himself, but it's okay. We'll allow him to use our platform for that. But yeah, changes of plans have occurred for people. People can't settle their debts. If you have any other perspectives, maybe you're in the audience, you've had other experiences, I strongly encourage you, just raise your hand or ask for the mic. Let's hear your perspective on it. And yeah, from any angle, whether it's from a business angle. Michael, I was hoping you would speak on the business angle of things, how people's businesses have been affected. So if you're in a position to speak, please do join us up here and share some experiences. Anyway, so circling back to Paulina. Paulina, is your chorister still actively rehearsing? I guess the answer is yes. Anyway, in the absence of anything, Adam, I guess I can circle back to you on day 3. Any other experiences that you've seen?
But I didn't mention wedding. I just said plans. Then you assume.
Yeah, but wedding is a plan. You don't just get up and you go and do it. So
anyway,
it's all part of the plans.
I will just air you on that one and move on. Yeah, I think like we have all seen that this whole thing has wide range effects on so many people. And for me, it's one person that is a friend of mine's dad who is a pensioner and also has some how will I call it, some of these diseases, a couple of them that he's living with, and always has to be taking life-saving medication. And he was directly invested in government bonds, so not through how will I call it, not through the collective investment schemes, but directly through the bonds. And hearing the issue about the debt exchange program, I'm sure if it had not been for God, he could have gone to his grave, because this thing kept people awake, and he was one person who could not sleep all the time thinking, because he had heavily invested his monies into this, and that's what I was saying at the beginning, that this has made us all question.
Yeah, Michael, we can hear you. Just give us a moment.
Unfortunately, my microphone was off from my settings, so I had to fix it, leave and fix it and come back.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll circle to you in a sec.
Okay.
Thank you. I hope you come and give us more stories.
Hey.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Adam, please, back to you.
Yeah, so like I was saying, this was something, the whole, and initially when the announcement came, it didn't seem like there was so much confusion and all of that. So the communication didn't seem to go down well with a lot of people. And he was one person who didn't take it well at all. But thankfully, all this engagement and back and forth and discussions have helped to explain a lot of things better to people. And that is very, very, is one lesson I feel we can take out of this whole situation, that some of these things, it's good to engage people. Else, like, people shouldn't think that it's just numbers they are crunching, but these are people's lives. These are people's life savings, basically. And he's one person who had heavily invested, because like even Mimi was just saying, doing the calculations, you realize that this net thing doesn't even look any good. And for people who are in their retirement ages are not able to actively work and are also have to battle with some serious diseases that they have to live with the rest of their lives and taking medication. These are people who can't afford not to take their medications. And for somebody who relied heavily on coupons and what have you, to be able to finance these medications and hospital trips in and out, everything, somebody who could barely walk himself and always has to be taken to the hospital back and forth and all of that. And it was, this is something that really hit him hard. And as a result, could not even sleep. He would always call his son, and his son also called me, Eden, what is all this debt exchange about and everything? And, all this back and forth. But thankfully, now that people understand better and it looks as if a better deal is going to be gotten for the individual bondholders, I hope that people like this, especially in this category of people who don't even have a lot of years on their hand to be able to claw back any losses that they will make. I hope that some special dispensation is given to them so that we don't lose people as a result of this exchange because they are unable to buy their medication. Because it's one person that without this, he said he doesn't know how he's going to buy any medication. And some of these medications are so expensive. Just one or two tablets and you are in the thousands of cedis. And these are people who have worked for years. And so this particular man was an example of somebody who was directly affected. And I just thank God that the whole situation was dealt with because his problem could have been complicated, his health issues could have been complicated just even by the mere miscommunications that went on. Yeah, so this is an example that I have to share of how it has directly affected someone who is within his retirement period. Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful. You can't hear these kind of such a story and not be moved, man. Someone who realized that no snits would not be enough and then went ahead and made other investments, was relying on the coupons. And if anyone who's been to hospital, you know that older people, you can't even get health insurance for older people. Your employment can give you health insurance by covering you, your spouse, and your children, your dependents, parents not covered, right? And they're at this age, and there's only so much support that they can get. And like I said, medicine's costing thousands. So I've been there before, and I'm like, wow, the timing. This is tough, man. It's really tough. Thank you for sharing that quite somber story. Michael, how about you? Coming to you, perhaps more on a business angle, people who have been affected from a business point of view.
Well, it's unfortunate. As they say, nobody is immune of calamity, So for few friends that I know who did some investments, knowing that would help them expand their business from time to time, Charlie, they are going nuts. And the unfortunate thing is some are like collated family monies that it's set aside to do all those things. Some to cater for future medical bills for foster parents and stuff like that. So it's crazy.
That reminds me of a time when someone told me like their brother died and they set and the inheritance for their children. They didn't let the children were quite young. They didn't let the children know about the inheritance, but later, and they've been investing the money in treasury bills over time. And one time, one of the siblings came from the UK and asked me to talk to this person. When I talked to the person and explained the investments, and this happened even before this crisis. So I'm just imagining how those family meetings are gonna go. If we left the money with you and look what you've done with it. And I'm like, in some of these situations, you ask, like, what else could they have done, right? You can just imagine how family situations are going to be strained because of these kind of events. Back to Edem's story. Like, I just can't. It's moved me so much. I just can't get past it. I know there's no official data on this matter, but I can imagine that people have died because of this situation, either directly or indirectly. Just hearing the shock of it alone, send someone give someone a heart attack or get a stroke or be thinking so much they don't look where they are driving or where they are walking on the road. Like, there are so many ways that I'm sure if we drill down, lives must have been lost. Does anyone know of such a situation?
I feel you can liken it to the bank cleanup, where a lot of livelihoods were lost. I mean, the shock, it's the same thing, because people had made plans.
Wow, people had made plans. Okay, I see. Interesting. Okay, guys. We are kind of wrapping up this conversation. If you are in the audience, you just joined us recently. If you know of any situation or anyone who's been affected, any way people have been affected, feel free to just join in on the conversation. We found it relevant to have these conversations because it helps people to put things in perspective. For people who are not affected, at least they can learn the empathy. Just imagine, this that is happening. What if it was happening to me? I see a very tangible benefits that came from these discussions of people telling their experiences, like Edem mentioned, of how various stakeholder organizations were formed, individual bondholders forum or something like that. I think there are two of such organizations, and they went and pushed and kept pushing, and terms have improved gradually. Every time there's a deadline, there has been a push, and the terms get better and better. We just hope the government will be able to deliver on those promises. But at least people telling their stories helped. If no one had spoken, we would think everything is okay, and we just go ahead and with something that was not good enough. Yeah. So even if you don't have any story, you could send us a DM later. In a future discussion, we can definitely bring it up. But otherwise, I guess we can start wrapping up the conversation. Would anyone of our speakers want to offer some words of encouragement to our audience before we
Hello,
go?
Likem.
Hi, Paulina.
Before the words of encouragement, Mom, I don't have any, but I'm sure Mimi will have, and Edem. But let's also talk about how this has shattered confidence in the financial system. Like, we really had not recovered from 2017 and the financial sector cleanup. Then this happens. I remember listening to City, and there was this man, I think he's a lecturer, the one who fronted the pension individual bondholders, doctor, something. He said something really profound. And he said, this is what I have taught all my life. So now when we go to the classroom, what are we really going to teach? I don't know if you get what I mean. But
Totally.
Yeah, it has destroyed theories. Okay, for me as a researcher, that's what I'll say. It has destroyed theories that we know for years. And the implications, and I think that it will take years and years and years for us to recover, not just economically, but as a people, from the trauma of this whole debt exchange and all of the things that come with it.
It's true. And I was talking to an industry leader, and he was mentioning his projection for the recovery, and it's stark. I thought I can be quite an optimistic person, but when I heard that, it really shook me. I thought, let's give it some 5 years, we'll be fine. Actually, people don't see this being recovered anytime soon. The confidence that you are speaking about, and it's not, it's not just about investments. It's about people's approach towards money. It's about people's approach towards risk taking or being conservative. in the US, many studies have been done that showed that people who graduated from school or people who got into the workforce in 2009, 2010, their approach to life for the rest of their careers has been very risk averse, very conservative, and it's also affected their earning capacity. Because they are not being paid as well as people who, or they've not earned as much as people who came into the workforce in times when there was a boom time. And I've had discussions with some of these people. I was talking to someone and he was like, he finished college in 2009. It took him 2 years to find a proper job. And when you look at his career, it's like he just doesn't take certain risks. So if we look at it on the whole, as a country where we are supposed to be a developing country, if we are not going to be, if this is going to affect us and set back our financial markets such that we are not willing to be bold, people may not even forget, not just financial markets. How many people will be so willing to put their money to risk in a business? People may just start thinking short term. Let me spend the money now. What if I don't get it in future when I need it? So just go and affect our economy in many ways. So it's a major setback, man. It's a major setback. I sometimes I like talking about this person who said he's been teaching pensions all his life. I think about it and I'm like, investment professionals are also going through it. But at this time, it's tough to talk about how they are suffering through their work and all the explaining that they have to do, because other people are talking about real how they have lost money and how they are not be able to pay bills, medical bills, all these things. But that's also a major factor. Actually, we are looking to have a conversation with the CFA Society, and Paulina, then I'm sure you would join in that conversation too. You would have some questions for them. The CFA Society, of course, let me issue disclaimer. I'm a director and treasurer of the CFA Society Ghana. It's the CFA designation is Chartered Financial Analyst. So it's an association of investment professionals. There's that exam that we take and you get that designation, CFA charter. And so it's supposed to be a beacon of professionalism in the investment space. I've engaged with the other members, and we are in a couple of weeks, we'll be having a conversation about the role of investment professionals in such tough times. And it will be interesting to hear their perspectives, and it would also, it would be also good to hear their take on how soon the industry will recover in terms of confidence in the industry. So yeah, looking forward to having that discussion. Speaking of other discussions, I haven't discussed this with Edem and Mimi, but I know Val's Day is coming next week. I'm thinking we talk something about Val's Day. And Paulina will definitely be interested in that. So I'll definitely reach out to you on the side. To the audience, just know that next week we are going to have a very special Val's Day session to discuss love and money. So it will be fun. Do tune in next week to listen. Anyway, it's been a very somber conversation. It's been a tough one to have. The last few conversations have been tough, as with all, I can imagine everyone's conversations in Ghana. But let's bring it to a wrap. Is there any words of encouragement anyone can offer to our audience and to each other? Because the Charlie I'm hearing from Paulina, she also needs the encouragement. Where's Prince when we need him? And he's probably writing an exam somewhere. And these days, this year, Prince has taken his goals seriously. Every time he's writing an exam. Mimi, over to you.
Charlie, I think that in these times it's very difficult to get scared and let fear take over. And I think...
Wait, Mimi, sorry, did you say it's difficult to get scared?
Sorry, it's very easy.
The economy, confusion has become bizarre.
It's very easy to get scared and let fear take over. But I mean, for me, when I calculated the pensions for a while, I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, but at least for most of us here, we are young people. I think that we should have the determination to make it, to pull through. Unfortunately, in life, we don't know everything, but at least to the best of our abilities, we do what we can. We pray about the rest. And I think in these times, for some of us, we may have to make decisions of changing our lifestyles. I always say that your lifestyle or spending does not define you. So if you find out that you have to rent a smaller house or buy a smaller car or eat a different kind of food just to survive and to make it to the next stage, it's okay. It doesn't define you. Sometimes it becomes very difficult to downsize because, I mean, we've put meaning, or we find meaning in some of these things that we acquire. And I think in these times too, as much as possible, for those who are very vulnerable, we may have to support them in one way or the other. So if you know somebody who did his best, he did all he could to make sure he retires well, and things are not looking too good. If you can offer a bit of help, at least for the necessities, my prayer and hope is that things will get better. Honestly, under this current leadership, it looks some way, but my prayer and hope is that things will get better and that we'll be able to pull through. But sometimes just the fear alone can eat you up and mess you up. So let's try as much as possible to keep hope alive. Get some music, dance, call some funny people, laugh, and it will get better. But as much as possible, let's make the most of the opportunities we have.
Thank you, Mimi. I won't take anything out of it. Thank you for the words of encouragement. Let's remember there's hope. Let's keep it alive. And I hope to catch you all here again next week. Stay well, help somebody if you can, like Mimi said. And as you are moving around in Ghana or wherever, remember that times are tough. Give some people some benefit of the doubt. If you are sitting in your car and someone is crossing the road and you just pause for them to cross the road. If a truck driver wants to get in front of you, not only the fact that you hit your car, just have some empathy for other people as people are going through it, because people are walking around and they are not themselves. So let's just keep that in mind as we are going. All right, thank you all for coming to talk, share your experiences. Hope to catch you next week. Follow us here on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram. Go on YouTube, subscribe, watch any episodes that you've not listened to. Tell people about this, okay? Let's spread the word about financial literacy, and hopefully we'll all be better off for it. All right, thank you so much. And also Investment Friend on Instagram, right? Follow Investment Friend on Instagram. All right then. Do take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye-bye.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our thoughts. I hope you learned a thing or two and start practicing. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. Do tell a friend about Money Convos so we all become wealthy together. Talk to you soon. Bye.